All right, return to ProxyCon. This will be interesting. I haven't run a whole pile of 3D on XP in general, and certainly not on stream. Um, yeah. So this is uh, part 2 of FM1 month. I said last stream I was going to do Cinebench 15, but I worked a few things out in the meantime, and I decided to do the 3D stream second and do Cinebench third maybe. I don't know if this being on the second camera is kind of distracting. Anyway, how's everyone doing? A rare daytime stream on a Saturday here in cold Sydney, Australia. And I haven't actually streamed 3 Mark 06 or 06 for short all that much at all, basically, because it's quite challenging on capture cards. That's great to hear, Pibble. It's good to do that. To sub on HarborBot. I just find it's a good way of sort of archiving the stuff you've done. I forget things quite easily. The other day I saw that my frequency score on the 1055T CPU is on DDR2, and I don't remember that. I remember running it on DDR3. Yeah. So FM1, I've got some Corsair pies in there. What happened since last stream? Last stream we did a little bit of 32M. I'll go to the score I ended up with. So I started off with hypers, and I ended up with PSC. So this is the score I got in the end. It's in terms of the ranking. You can't really see that, but I'll go to the full ranking. We've got some time. If my internet decides to cooperate. So there's obviously a few LN2 scores and sub-ambient scores. All of this, that's all sub-ambient. Also Nay sub-ambient. So I'm only being beaten by infrared. Now infrared, I don't know what's going on with the score. It's quite fast. I could account for maybe about 10 seconds of the difference between me and him. But I'm still half a minute behind, which is quite a lot. But every other ambient score, including Delhi here with 200 megahertz more than me, I beat pretty well. I have a few theories. I'm on 1140 RAM. He's on more like 1300 RAM. No, it's not. I mean, it's more the efficiency of it, because even if accounting for the 100 megahertz more he has on core, I think his IMC might be better. I was really struggling to get to 100. So the top RAM strap is 1866. After that, you have to BCLK to get higher RAM. And he was able to get to 1287. And for me, I was really struggling. So I did 6106. I made the most of it. But still, I think that the higher RAM speed just helps because, well, anyway, I'm not sure. I even went with Wazas, and Wazas gave me another couple of seconds, I would say. But let's go on to 3 Mark 06, shall we? This is now the third GT. So for those who are unfamiliar, there are 4 GTs and 2 CTs. So GPU tests and CPU tests in 3 Mark 06. So you've got your 2 shader model 2 tests at the start, which are ProxyCon and Firefly. Then you have 2 CPU tests, which is rendering GPU tests on the CPU, which is like 1 FPS in the end on this system. And they're called CPU tests because they're not called physics. 3D Mark or UL, Future Mark, or now called UL, they didn't come up with the idea of calling them physics tests. And to be fair, it's sort of different, you know. So let's say Firestrike Physics has almost no 3D component really. I mean, you need to have your drivers installed, but it certainly isn't bottlenecked by 3D. And it is a physics simulation, whereas the CPU tests here are software renderings of GPU tests. So anyway, there's two CPU tests, CTs for short. I'm never going to use that phrase again. It's CTs and GTs. Even though CT stands for combined in other tests, but in other benchmarks. But in terms of 06, you're talking about 4 GTs, 2 CTs, 2 shader model 2.0 GTs at the start, ProxyCon and Firefly, then the 2 CTs, then the 2 shader model 3 GTs at the end, which are Canyon Flight, which is also in 05. Actually, the 3 in terms of subject matter, not in terms of how they're rendered or how fast they run, but 3 Mark 05 had ProxyCon, Firefly, and Canyons, and those 3 have been kept. And this the test that's currently running, which is Deep Freeze, is the new test. So there's 3 tests from the previous benchmark that came out just 1 year earlier. Usually you have bigger gaps. You know, you had 3D Mark 2001, 2003, a 2-year gap, 2005, a 2-year gap, and then 06. So 06, they I'll just go in here. They kept ProxyCon, even though it was called ProxyCon before. Now it's called Return to ProxyCon. I think it runs for a little bit longer. Then Firefly, and in here you see that they actually, this order is incorrect. The way they run is GT1, GT2, CT1, CT2, HDR1, HDR2. But here they're ordered in terms of GTs first and CPU tests last. Canyon Flight and Deep Freeze. Okay, so 6500. I don't have a CPU Z on here yet. That is all stock. I'll actually quickly put a CPU Z on there. Sorry, I built my Win 7 first. So the rankings are a amalgamation, a mix of XP and Win 7, and therefore I'm going to run both XP and Win 7 today. Always missing stuff off of old OSs. So I got about a 6800 on a Win 7 image, yeah. Continue. There we go. I cut my thumb. I cut my thumb on this cooler actually. So I was trying to get to the USB and I just put my finger into the cooler. It's so close because it's such a big air cooler. It's so close to the I/O, the back panel I/O. Not AMD. This is an ancient image. Ah, I copied over the wrong CPU Z. Fail. Yeah. If I was drinking a beer, I could blame it on that, but I'm not even drunk, so that's. I was trying to be smart, only copying one CPU Z, but it was the wrong CPU Z, so. They still package, believe it or not, they still package both 64-bit and 32-bit. All right, let's try this again. Okay, So stock 3 gigahertz, 100 BCLK, and the low RAM strap. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the options in BIOS. So I'm going to do my next run. That's the only thing I don't like about this capture card, is how it shows no signal. I wish I could like flash a custom firmware on my capture card to show like a Harbobot logo when there's no signal, something like that. Otherwise, this is a good capture card. Okay, so I'm back on F8A. I did try a few things, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do 130 BCLK, top memory strap, 1.85, and can I even, yeah, I can load. That profile didn't do jack shit, did it? I'll try to keep at the same core clock. I'll do 2T to start with. 12, 24. Basically just match the SPD. And what I also don't like is, no, not termination voltage, actual DDR3 voltage. I don't like that the fan turns on. Okay, I think smart fan is okay. Why did that wipe it out? Yeah, that's a PCI postcard. Absolutely essential. I've got my Sammys here actually in case I want to try them later. But yeah, it's like $5 from eBay maybe. Blue bias is very nostalgic. Brelia, welcome to the stream. That's a good first chat. Okay, so here we go. Let me show you the quirks of iGPU on the system. So we have correct multi, correct bus being shown here. That's actually Samsung timings, but that's fine. Cellulare, thanks, welcome to the stream. This is actually FM1. So as per the stream title, I'm doing all FM1 streams on for the month of May. And if you ever need to know what the system is, just go !rig and I will tell you. Okay, so our RAM is detected. Now let's go into GPU Z. We have our stock run saved here, so that's good. See this, 780. So default clock will actually, basically the iGPU detection for such an old iGPU on such old drivers, these are 2011 drivers, on XP is quite buggy. So it detects if you know what you're looking at. So basically there is an iGPU multi which results in 600 iGPU clock at 100 BCLK. However, with 130 BCLK applied, so multiplied by 1.3, hopefully those maths are right. I'm just going to double check it just to be 780 divided by 600. Yes, 1.3. You have a resultant GPU clock of 780. Also, GPU Z is not able to read real memory clock since iGPU memory is system memory, is just a partition of system memory. The real memory clock will be 2400 or thereabouts. However, what GPU-Z, this is the latest GPU-Z, ends up reading is just the strap, right? So this is on the 1866 strap. So you also have to multiply this by 1.3. So it's a bit confusing because memory is just completely screwed. Neither the actual GPU clock nor the default clock match the real clocks. Whereas for GPU clock, we're seeing real clocks here. And I'm just gonna do, I don't have rendered. Yeah, okay, fine. But I'll keep GPU-Z in the background and I'll run, and then we should be fine. Okay, just gonna sneeze. Sorry, I keep mentioning this on my streams, but I do have hay fever pretty much all year long, so yeah, can't really suppress that. So let's start looking at FPS. So we saw drops down to about 14 FPS in this GT last run. So I think we're already seeing a nice uplift here. I'm not gonna keep track of all the end screens, but just to give an idea. Yeah, so Pibble, for, ooh, no signal. Ooh, interesting. That's interesting. I might just see if I can install EasyTune and lower the BCLK in OS. Probably should just set that to automatic. Okay. All right, whatever. That's weird. That seems to be BCLK related. Okay. I'll go down to, I'll just think that's fine. I'll just see. So basically the first job would be to find out the limits of the iGPU and the memory separately. So I have a feeling that might have been memory related. There's no separate iGPU voltage, so I'll have to mess around with CPU North Bridge voltage as well. Yeah, but I'll just see. Two is already a lot too lower. Yeah, it's kind of intimidating actually because I rejoined. Okay. Basically, my story is I built, as a teenager, I built PCs and I followed XOC a tiny bit. And that was like Phenom 2, I think maybe Sandy, not maybe even earlier than that, like Phenom 1 and stuff. And then for about 10 years, I didn't look at hardware at all. And then I just got interested in building a system for playing old games. And I built a Ryzen 1600, so Ryzen 5 1600 system. So basically, I also had that 10-year gap almost, I would say. And that's how it started. I like overclocked out on water, then I got Dice, then I got LN2. And yeah, that was in 2017. So it's been pretty much May this year. Yes, May was the month. So it's like my 5-year anniversary in XOC now. Well, maybe my first actual cold session would have been in June. So yeah, it took me a long time. Hey Ginger. Voodoo 5 5500. Yeah, that's probably worth a lot of money now. So the it took me a long time to basically learn the platforms. Like I had to learn LJ 1156 came before Sandy, came before Ivy, came before Haswell came before Devil's Canyon, came before Skylake, came before KB. When I joined, it was KB, so I had to like learn all that. Which is DDR3? Which is DDR4? Which is LGA? Which is PGA? How many channels does it have? You know, I had to basically learn all of that. It's all in my head now. Like I could tell you, you know, yeah, of course KB came after Skylake, and of course like Coffee Lake came after that or whatever. But it took me quite some time actually to sort of remember that. And same on the AMD side. I mean, I probably had familiarity with 939 and 754 and maybe AM2 back in the day. But then what's AM2 plus? And you know, even just the basic stuff of like, you know, which chips can go into DDR2 board and which can't, and which DDR3, and yeah. And then even HEDT, like that's a whole other lineup on the Intel side. So you've got your 11, what is it called? 2011 and 2011 V3 or whatever it's called, or V2. So you're I know it, I'm slow at the moment. Sandy Bridge E, Ivy Bridge E, Haswell E, Broadwell E, Skylake X / KB Lake X, then Cascade, and then they just gave up because what's the point in HEDT anymore? And they were so far behind Intel. So far behind AMD. So just because we have it on stream at the moment, these CPU tests run at a different like display mode, or a different refresh rate, or a different resolution or something to the other GTs. So I actually ran through an Elgato capture card, and I think an AverMedia capture card, and 3 different Elgato capture cards before I gave up and I bought a really fucking expensive capture card. And it now handles those resolution changes better than anything else. Other capture cards would sometimes not go into BIOS because that's, again, sort of like technically that's an unsupported resolution. It's really tough to support these older resolutions. So the bench resolution of 06 is 1280 by 1024. And that's not technically really supported by anything. Like capture cards nowadays will tell you they might support 480i, 720p, 1080p, 1440p, and 4K. And then there's 2 versions of 4K. There's DCI 4K, which is the like cinema version, and then there's just regular UHD, which is what your TV will display, right? So a good capture card these days will support like 6 or 7 resolutions. But for benching, like you could have a BIOS that's like 6, whatever that resolution was, 648 by something, or it might be 800 by 600, or it might be 1024. You know, like there's so many old resolutions. When we as a society basically decided collectively that we were going to merge the family of resolutions used for PCs with the largely, I know 1440p is not a TV resolution as such, but largely now we've merged the family of resolutions that are used by PCs with the family of resolutions that are used by TVs, and we refer to everything as either 1080p or 4K. Well, there's a lot more to it than that. There's 1440p. But there's even the fact that there's 16. There's 4:3 aspect ratios. There's 16:10, 16:9. 3:2 is used by tablets and laptops and stuff these days. Yeah, 640x480. And I just need I need stuff to work because I've had it happen so many times on stream. That my capture card will just crap out in the middle of the stream, and sometimes you have to restart your stream. It's a way to describe. It's like the capture card, it objects more to the act of the PC switching resolutions rather than not supporting the new resolutions actually going to. If you were to start a stream in 800 by 600 and stay in 800 by 600 all the way throughout, most capture cards, even though their spec sheet won't say that it's supported, will actually support that. But you might be in trouble going like from 1080p desktop resolution to like something like 06, which is 1280 by 1024. So that's, since I just rambled on for so long, this is my stream rig, and yeah, I paid way too much for that capture card, but I still sort of think that it was worth it. Just have a quick look. Okay, so all my cameras and lenses, that's not really all that interesting. Yes, so I bought a Magewell Pro Capture HDMI. Let's go to the Amazon link quickly. So you don't get very much. You don't get 4K per capture. You only get up to 1080p. You get like analog capture. That's like for old TV sources and old consoles and stuff, gaming consoles. It's not actively cooled, so that's nice. It only needs a small PCI Express by 1X slot, so that's nice. Because I'm running an M80X streaming rig, so I'm sort of a little bit stuck for space. But you don't even get pass through. So I actually have a matrix, like an HDMI splitter that I split off for my screen that I look at myself, because I don't look at the stream to look at, like, to do stuff on desktop, because that's awkward. Yeah, how many slots do I have in my board actually? So yeah, I run iGPU for display out, so I can run my my 4-way HDMI capture card in the top slot if I want to, and run my desktop capture card here, and I still have an empty slot, so that's nice. Okay, so we have a score, and unsurprisingly, it's way better than the previous score, 9,400. That seems like really fast, actually. Froxic, I think Froxic is a cold score, so 11,000. Which one? Noms. I wanted to look at Noms. So Noms is at 960 iGPU. Maybe there's not much scaling from 960 iGPU, but you get CT test scaling off of the CPU. I can certainly raise that. I'm still not as high on memory. So basically he's beating me everywhere, and I'm only 1,500 points behind. Actually my canyons, no, okay. Okay, I'm down on every subtest. Hi, low pull, first time chatter, welcome. You caught one, great. Hope you enjoy it. So the only thing with this low resolution is I may not be able to fit everything. So this won't be HarborBot legal, but what I'm doing is I'm just capping it for my own sort of comparisons, and then the last run of the day, or maybe the last few runs of the day, I'll actually change. Can you please 9404? I'll actually change desktop resolution to be HarborBot legal to fit everything in. So I wanted to actually also show you something else. Hopefully this works on XP, which is that what is it called? MSI Afterburner works to set GPU multi, but it's weird. It's worth looking at, actually. Afterburner. This will do. Hopefully it's still supported on XP. Yeah, okay, so that was a decent lift. I think I may keep BCLK at that for now. I might tighten my RAM. I could certainly see myself being able to go to like CL7, but that seemed like a RAM hardwall there, like an IMC hardwall or whatever. Okay, let's see if we can get our Afterburner installed. Always do this. My other OS is in pretty good shape. It's just this one. It took me a while. 6 a.m. Yeah, European hours. It is 2 p.m. here. Okay, so I hate the default screen, so I immediately change that. 2. Any one of the cyborgs will work. Reference design. I mean, we can try to extend. Never. Okay, let's do a restart. .677 DDR4, is that like laptop RAM or something? Or buggy CPU-Z? So what I would like to do is, I would like to find, I was able to set about 950 on the iGPU on the other OS. So I'd like to like, it's always a balancing act, right? Because system memory is also used by the iGPU. So I don't want to max out. Hopefully this works. Yes, it works. I don't want to, wow, that temperature reading has to be wrong. It's like almost 20 degrees ambient here. Logged Xeon, nice. You don't want to go to the absolute limit for RAM or iGPU, because then they affect each other. You may end up in a situation where you lower RAM a tiny bit and then you can go up a tiny bit on iGPU, but then you hit a hard limit and you might be tempted to lower iGPU and go up on RAM again. So what I wanted to show you is here's our 768 again, right, which is the 6x, right, the 6x strap that's set for by default for the iGPU, because it's 100 BCLK stock BCLK, and it's 600 megahertz stock iGPU frequency. That results in a default clock of 600 via a 6x multiplier. Since we're at 130 BCLK, you multiply by 1.3. The current GPU clock that we just passed, we know it's safe, is 768. I was able to set on my other OS off stream 950 or so. We have a slider here, but this is actually a multiplier setting. So it's not showing us 768, and we're not able to change GPU clock for real, like set 700 and get 700. This is a multiplier setting that is like wrongly displayed here in MSI Afterburner. However, it does give us in-OS multiplier control for the iGPU, which I haven't seen working in another in-OS utility. So I'm going to use this, even though it's a bit confusing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go 650 and watch it change over here. Hopefully it works. Yes. So we're at 800 now. I'll do 700. So now 7 times 1.3 is like a math lesson. 878. I'll go one higher. I'll go 725, I think might be the next strap. Let's try. Or maybe I have to go 750. Yes. I'm going to save that. We're now at 922 iGPU. Still same memory and same CPU. Let's try to run that. Yeah, things are buggy, right? Like, this is not just, oof, I don't think it's running. Okay, that thought of something. So it seems like I was able to pass stuff on Windows 7 on relaxed RAM at 950. It seems like the faster RAM is really impacting our iGPU clocks. So I'm going to try like 870 or whatever it was next. And the kicker is the IGPU multi-setting that I saw in the BIOS doesn't work, which is actually a theme with that's the theme with Gigabyte boards. I had the same issue on FM2. I used to do my IGPU clocking on FM2 on my Asus Crossblade Ranger, which died, and now I haven't yet found a BIOS on any of my Gigabyte boards that gives me working IGPU clocking. There's the option, but it doesn't seem to do anything. Let's just do 700 maybe. 878, that sounds good. And in benching, it's always important to validate these things. So there's a few different options, right? Suddenly it's giving me unsupported signal. I thought I was praising this this capture card so much earlier. Wow. Okay, well, here you go. You see the bottom of the frame. Hold on. Let me let me try and force it into working again. Now it's telling me no signal. Okay, so we're back with the supported signal. Now let's go back to bench res. See, that's bench res. Let's just monitor it. Okay, weird glitch. Right. So really for people who are new to benching, a really important lesson, especially for GPU clocking, maybe not so much for CPU clocking, but for GPU clocking, there's different scenarios you can have. You can have the situation where you don't have clock control and there's no tool that will work for you. If you hit apply, it does nothing. GPZ still reports the old clock, or maybe there's literally no tool for it and there's no option in BIOS. That's option one, right? Where what can happen there is maybe you can't clock up your GPU core at all. Then the next option I would say would be you have clock control in BIOS, for talking specifically about iGPUs now. You have clock control in BIOS, or you appear to have clock control in BIOS, but actually doesn't set the clock, right? And even on Intel current GPUs, iGPUs, that can happen. So it's really important to validate, you know, you may not be able to monitor the clock you're actually setting, is what I'm trying to get at. So even though I'm actually in quite a comfortable situation here, right? Because I see real clocks being applied in GPU-Z, but I would still strongly suggest validating that you're setting those clocks, because you can also fake set clocks, right? So there's different ends of the spectrum. There's the you appear not to be able to set clocks, but then when you run a benchmark, it runs faster. Therefore, the clocks are set without GPU-Z reflecting that. All the way to you appear to be setting clocks because GPU-Z reflects that, and your tools are telling you that everything's fine. But then you run the benchmark, and the performance is the same, and actually the clocks aren't being set. And then sometimes you also have the situation where the GPU-Z sensor tab, you know, that's often the case with new GPUs. The sensor tabs tells you the real story and the main tab doesn't. ATC is decent for Intel. What's ATC? ATC. Air traffic control is what that stands for in my world. As I work in travel. Out-of-lock timing controller, yeah. So, and even to continue that conversation further, sometimes higher clocks are being set, but it doesn't give you better performance. So like on the classic case would be AMD current gen cards, which are so power dependent that if you set higher clocks, it means yes, the peak clock will be higher, but the average clock may be lower, or maybe the clock changes themselves, because you'll have more clock changes. The clock changes themselves cause a drop in performance. So you can even, this is crazy, but you can even have a situation where you like add on 25 megahertz to your peak clock, as said in like Afterburner, let's say, or Wattman, causing the average clock to even be higher. But since the clock will fluctuate more because you're sort of hitting the power limit, that clock fluctuation will cause you to have worse performance. So that's all a roundabout way of saying you have to check what you're really doing. Like, is what you're doing increasing performance? You know, it's not just a case of more volts, more clocks, go to the maximum volts you can do, the maximum clocks you can do, and then run the benchmark, and that's your top score, and then you go move on to something else. No, it's good to have a baseline run, have a run with high RAM, you know, the sort of thing that I'm doing at the moment. Why are clocks so unstable? Okay, well, it's the case on APUs too that there is a power limit. It's mostly related to power limit. So let's say in the hypothetical scenario where you have a graphics card that has no power limit, which doesn't really exist anymore these days, you should always set a clock that's high enough so that it's basically it's one level down from the clock that will cause a crash, right? You know, if 3000 megahertz crashes, try to set 2990 megahertz, and if that passes, that is likely to be your best GPU clock for certain benchmark. But for you can have power throttling, you can have overcurrent protection, over voltage protection, you can even have thermal throttling. So it's sort of like very theoretical to say, okay, in a scenario where the CPU is always at minus 200, no matter what, no matter how much heat it's outputting, and it always has a VRM of infinite size and power capability available to it, then yes, just go for the maximum clock. But like, let's say in Skylake X, for example, even at minus 100 on your pot, you might get like plus 50 on the CPU if your mount is bad or if you're just putting so much heat out. So you should always be aware of heat output, especially on GPUs and iGPUs, because FM2, for example, has separate power states. So there's P0, P1, and so on. And it will just, if a certain power limit is reached, it will just drop down the clocks. So then that would be sort of the next level of optimizing a certain bench or a certain CPU or whatever, would be maybe even run the benchmark in windowed mode and have a GPZ window open in parallel and watch the graph of the clocks. Because if you're seeing a lot of drops, then you're hitting a power limit, you know, and then it becomes, you know, again, it becomes a balancing act. You know, maybe you can stay at the same clocks but slightly lower the voltage, which maybe just keeps you under the power limit and stops all these clock fluctuations. It's complicated. It's not, back in the day, you know, 9887, okay, that's not as high as I was hoping, but it did give us 487 points. What I'll do is I'll actually just put that and GPZ. I'll put the subtests up and I'll put GPZ up just to show that this passed. 9887. Oh, that was right. Where is the GPZ? Here it is. Okay, that was 878. I think I tried 920 or something next time. So since this is a multi, sometimes you can key in a number that doesn't actually increase the multi. So 710 is too small of a change to go up. So let's try 715. and this detection can be a bit slow as well. 720. 921. Okay, this is the in-between setting between the one that failed and the one that we just passed. So let's try that. So yeah, people, I don't know how much of a GPU bencher you are. Oh. Seems like an insta fail. Next thing we can try, I think we can at least try to, well, what I'll do is I'll tighten up my RAM first. So at this setting we should be able to pass 710.7 maybe. 416. 10 should be all right. 90 maybe. Raz, make this 28, and this like 22 maybe. I don't know. Mem concerned. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. That's certainly the case. I wasn't watching, but I think that's not going to boot. So these are G.Skill Pi 2300 8118 PSC chips. Yeah, that didn't like that. So we'll try 7 maybe with everything else loose. Okay, so one of the basic tenets of iGPU clocking is that whatever your IMC is able to do 2D benching and your sticks are able to do, often it's something worse with iGPU enabled, because your iGPU also has to be able to handle those timings and frequencies along with your IMC. Okay, I'm just going to clear CMOS. I really need to get a third little button. Okay. Yeah, I also have a few sticks of 2200 71010 PSC. I like it. I really like it. That's my best PSC though. Okay, so load. Eight. Let's try 7, 11, 7 to start with. It's looking a bit better, I think. Okay. I'll save that as like a small sort of baseline. Apparently there was a 2400 8118 as well, which sounds great. Yeah, and I'll be doing a lot of DDR3 clocking coming up, because this is FM1 month, so there's 3 streams of FM1. One I've already done, which was SuperPi 32M. Now we're doing stream number 2, which is 3 Micro 6, and then the last one will be multi-threaded, so it'll be Cinebench 15. And June next month, I'm planning to make FM2 month, which is another DDR3 platform. So I'm going through pretty much all of the AMD DDR3 platforms. I don't know if I'm going to be excluding anything. I'm thinking. Once I get this run started, I'll think about what I'm going to do exactly. Okay. So. Okay, so that was our setting. Hopefully that passes, or it starts at least. Okay, so AMD DDR3 platforms. Let's actually go into our little, how are frames looking? I think at this point the frames were like 14 when we started, so we're definitely getting somewhere. Let us look. If you don't know, you can, you know, HiRobot is pretty good for, oof, my eyes aren't that good, is pretty good for browsing platforms. So browse processors, and now you got a little sort of drop down type thing on this side, and I'm going to browse by socket and close everything else up. AMD by socket. So I think this is an SDR platform. This is 2, this is 2, this is DDR1, 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 DDR1 or SDR, I can't remember. This is a DDR3 platform. This is, so we're talking AM1, AM3, AM3 plus, but I'm skipping AM3 because I've done so many streams of that. So I'm counting the plus platforms together with their parent, you know, AM3 and AM3 plus. I'm going to bundle together and do an AM3 plus month to cover that socket. FM2, so where's the FMs? I'm doing FM right now. There was no FM1 plus. FM2 plus I kind of hate, so I'm going to do an FM2/FM2 plus month where I do 3 FM2 streams. So there's 1, 2, 3. AM1 I'll do as well, 4 months. And then what am I missing? FT1. Where's FT1? Ooh. I thought these were alphabetical. I'm not doing any of the mobile sockets or server sockets if you're curious. I think it may not be under AMD for some reason. Would help to be able to spell. I think FT1 oh, it's called BGA FT1. So BGA FT1. I'm gonna bench the E350. And I'm gonna try to beat Ian Cuttress's 1M. So that's what FT1 looks like. So it's sort of like an old HDT socket. But I'm hoping I can put a PCI Express. Is that a PCI? It's hard to tell. I'm guessing that's a PCI Express slot. Do we have more rig picks here? No. Oh, this guy. Dinos? Oh, maybe Dinos. Yeah, that's the PCI Express slot. So I think it's a single channel platform. Let me double check the CPZ. It doesn't really tell, but I think it's a single channel platform, and then you can maybe run 2 sticks for like multiple ranks. Okay, so how many was that? FT1, FM2, FM1, AM3 plus. 4. And then I might go on to Intel DDR3, but that could be tough. Hey, we're on canyons now. I should be noting down end screens, to be honest. Let's do that. Let's note down an end screen. I can't speak English these days. Live stream 123. Okay, so when you're running 3D, for those who don't know, this counter at the bottom, this frame counter, 1000, I don't know if I can point it out, but basically the thing that's currently at 1500, and that will tell you how well you've done in that subtest, in that GT. And when you're overclocking, it should go up. So it's basically the long and the short of it. And there's also this 3D Mark calculator. By Elmore, in case people are not aware. The really useful thing is, or actually the end screen is just coming up. So 31, 32, 30, 3290, I make it. So what you do is you go here and you put in 3290 and it gives you 41 FPS. Canyons is particularly good. I mean, for an old slow platform like this, it probably doesn't matter, but on a faster card, Canyons would be one of the heavier tests. So if you're just trying to clock up the system, maybe just doing Canyon runs over and over and over again is good enough. So that's a 41 FPS score, and I'll try to compare it to NOM's. 44 FPS. Yeah, it's quite a bit better. Later, he's got a later driver. I mean, he's also like almost 100 megahertz faster on the iGPU. Okay. The other thing I'm going to attempt, ooh, almost 10,000 points. That's nice. So that did help. So one more thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to 123 BCLK. Yeah, and I need to get BCLK control in OS. I'm going to attempt to do 1T command rate and see how that affects things. Okay, save this thing just in case. And I was struggling with 1T for a long time, but the way you do it on this platform, it's a bit tricky. It might not work now with the iGPU enabled, but the way you do it is one here, leave these on auto, and then one here. You have to set it for each channel. One here, one here, one here, and one here. Let's see. Yep, that's gonna post. So yeah, that NOM score, I wasn't able to install a later catalyst, so that could certainly be a problem, that my catalyst is too old. I can go all the way to 15.7.1 catalyst on Win 7. I'll see how things go. Maybe I'll switch OSs soon, but the thing is you can't see 1T in OS on this platform. Okay, but the way we do it is we just apply clocks and hope for the best, more or less. I'll do a full run just to get the first over 10,000, and I'll fully enter all of the end screens as well. Well, there were 3,000 bin and 3,200 bin MF4 stakes, but I don't know if anyone would want to run that. There was I have 2,600 stake Samsung, so in terms of benching relevant stakes, on the high end, there was PowerChip, PSC, and Samsung. D-Die, I think it's called. And Samsung, there was 2600 and I think even 2800 bins. But the Samsung runs looser, so Samsung would Samsung at 2800 on Haswell would be like 9, 12, 12, whereas PSC at 2600 or 2666 on Haswell will be 8, 8, 12, 8, maybe 7, 12, 7. Yeah, Hynix, but they're not really benching relevant because they're so loose. Like MFR, you run at like 11, 13, 13. It's just crazy. Okay, let's watch our end frames here just so we have a nice way to compare things. Well, what was bench back in the day when Haswell was out was D-Die, so... Ah, damn it, I missed the end frame. So for me, D-Die is the best. D-Die, I'm sure it has its uses, but for general benching, D-Die is better for sure. I know Ground has been propagandizing G-Die for years now. He's a big fan, but that doesn't, just because he says so doesn't make it any better. Hey, so where are we now? We're Saturday 28th. Okay, I'll have to stream Tuesday night, I think, to still fit inside of May. I didn't start until last week though, so next month I have all month to get through 3 streams, whereas now I have to stream like Monday or Tuesday night to make it. Okay, let's at least get the end screen for here for this GT2, which is a quick one. Will be 2000. 1940. So that's 17 FPS. Oh, that's right. GT1 and GT2 are broken in that calculator. Okay. I should get the other end screen. Why do I keep saying scream? Something not quite right with me at the moment, I think. Okay, so I want to get... What do I want to get on my USB? I want ATI setlod. And I want... something else. Fusion tweaker. Fusion tweaker 32-bit. And easy tune actually. Yeah, stream 1, 2, 3. It's kind of funny. I wonder, I don't even remember what I thought at the time I started streaming. I just saw it as like, this is 3 or 4 years ago now. I saw it as a natural thing. Oh, well, Billzoid streams, so I have to stream. But I have enjoyed it for sure. I don't know if I thought I'd make it to 100 streams though. That is certainly a question mark. Face Wizard is what the Gigabyte website is trying to sell me for this motherboard. Okay, so our last end screen was 3290. Let's watch. 32. Okay, identical. 1T didn't seem to do very much there. Maybe to help the CPU tests though. Who knows? Yeah, is it stream list? No, that's the wrong one. Streamers. Yeah, okay, so that's a list of other overclocking streamers. Hopefully that tiny.cc link isn't dead, because for some reason they've died before, which I think is dumb, because you know, what's the point of a URL shortening service when it doesn't actually make permanent links? Okay, so there's Billzoid, there's Mick, who streams quite a bit as tech test. I should really add something here. AMD focused streamer. Okay, Bones streams sometimes. There's the Gunzy. I saw that the Germans had a overclocking. 1T didn't help at all. They had a hardware reactor. They had an overclocking weekend. Okay. Anyway, you get the idea. Fork, Psycho, Hardware Numbers, Orsanino, Dr. Weeze doesn't stream much anymore. Wizardy. I should put more stuff in the retired category there. But anyway, so the score is identical. Actually 5 points lower. So that didn't help at all. Let's get more utilities installed. Fusion Tweaker. Oh man. Okay, so that works, so that's good. Yeah, maybe Fusion, I mean FM1, these are maybe not the socket FM1, but the architecture used in FM1 chips also made it into laptops at the time, and that's, I think, the reason we have Fusion Tweaker, this utility. I don't know where it came from. Can we set high performance? Oh shit, maybe we need to set high performance in here as well. What does it say when I go back in? Will it have saved high performance? Okay. But at least we can up our CPU multi here. I don't know if these P states work though. No, the North Bridge states don't work. But what we can do is at least upper. So that applied, we see it on CPU-Z here. And 27x. Try. Oh yeah, let's try 28x. 3.6. Yeah, let's try that. That'll give us better CPU tests at least. Big Billzoid fanboy. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's the OG, you know. Weirdly enough, back in the day, people streamed overclocking as well, but a lot of those streams were never like backed up to YouTube or anything. I save the stream highlight on Twitch itself. I think I have a YouTube. Yes, YouTube, and I keep a local backup as well. So hopefully that doesn't get lost. I've been following the GoldenEye, the Nintendo 64 GoldenEye, let's say, community for a while now, and a lot of their old world records and stuff are gone forever. So Yeah, not saying there's many world records being set on my streams, but I'd like to see them preserved, or I'd like to see everyone's streams preserved, to be honest. And yeah, you know, I think Dr. Weeze is good for having his past streams saved on his YouTube as well, but otherwise not so much. I guess Billzoid archives his, or maybe not actually. Yeah, so there you go. There's one streamer that doesn't save his old streams. Unless he puts them on his YouTube. No, we don't want ads. Pause. Let's check playlists. Yeah, he doesn't even have a live stream. And that's a fail. A GT2 fail due to CPU. Okay, that's weird. Yeah, so for me, like, he streams like late European hours, which is the middle of the night for me, so that's really hard for me to watch any of his streams. Maybe I can bug him into saving them. I think this is the one that, no, 28 is the one that failed. I'll just bake in the extra voltage here as well. And the real try-hard 3D Mac 06 people clock the CPU differently for the CTs versus the GTs. It's obvious, right? Like, let's say you're on modern day Intel, you might be able to do the GTs at 7.1 or 7.2 gigahertz on LN2, but then the CT would be more like a 6.9, maybe 6.8. Oh, yeah, I'm curious to see now. If GT2 is actually a relatively heavy, CPU heavy bench. 878. Okay. Let's see if set LOD word works. Yeah, it doesn't even have a. It doesn't even have a. Ooh. Okay, let's get back to that. If that works, I'll be very happy. It all depends on what pot you have, what platform you're running, and really the most important part is cost. So for me, I started out on dry ice because it was just easier to just buy sort of over the counter, but actually the cost in Australia is much higher than LN2. So kilogram, so you buy dry ice by the kilogram and you buy LN2 by the liter, obviously because one is a solid and one is a liquid. But I would say that a kilogram of dry ice would last you longer than a liter of LN2. Maybe not twice as long, but maybe 50% not longer at least. Depends on what you're doing. But just for simplicity's sake, let's say it lasts you 50% longer, so 1.5 times as long. But here the prices are probably about, at this point, my price has recently been raised for LN2, so it's about $2 a liter for LN2. And for dry ice, it would probably be about 20. So you would have to be $3 a kilogram for me to consider dry ice. Maybe under 5 for sure, but it's about 20. But in a lot of countries, like I think in Germany, you can go to certain supermarkets and buy dice, and it's really cheap. So if the prices are somewhat similar, I would say like $2 a liter for LN2 and $5 for dice, then for sure dice. Just because you're not going as cold, you need less insulation, or insulation is less critical. You know, it's easier to handle. You don't have to do as much pouring. Maybe safety is a bit bigger concern because you can actually suffocate from CO2 poisoning, whereas it's really, really hard to do the same from nitrogen. It's still possible, but yeah. And then you have that, if you're using, you've got to have an interfacing liquid between the solid and the pot, so between the dice and the pot. So usually people use acetone, so that's flammable, so you shouldn't torch it. You should use some sort of non-flame way of warming up the pot after your session, or when mid-session when you need to go warmer. What else is there to consider? For LN2, you need a dewar to keep it. Your LN2 place, it varies from country to country and supplier to supplier, but your LN2 supplier may allow you to rent a dewar at an extra cost, but they certainly have to have a dewar one way or another. So you either have to buy a dewar yourself and go to the LN2 place, or have them come to you and fill that dewar. They won't ever consider any other form of container for LN2. That's just, that would get them in trouble with the regulators. So you need a dewar some way, or one way or another. You either pay an extra cost to rent it every single time you get LN2, or you have to buy one. And that's a whole other kettle of fish, because new, they're very expensive. Used, you always run the risk of it not having a good vacuum, and the seller will always tell you, oh, it's got an amazing vacuum, don't worry, and I charge you $300 for it, and then you get your first delivery and its vacuum is crap, and the LN2 evaporates really quickly. Don't tip the acetone out. Okay, so yeah, in that sense. Whereas when you buy dice, first of all, I reckon the places that sell dice, they just don't look at it as closely at, the safety aspect of it. So you could potentially even just bring your own, you call them eskies here, like your own ice box, and put the dice in there. So the whole transport element of it, and transport and storage element of dice, is much more relaxed. But of course you can't go as cold. But like for the first session, yeah, I did dice once as well. Yeah, but then I found an LN2 supplier and I never looked back again. Well, cold bug is a non-factor. I mean, an element, like a really, 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 really important part of LN2 benching is being able to control temperature, right? And you do that with a torch, and you do it by pouring less or pouring more. And if you're going to take XOC at all seriously, you will have to learn temperature control, at one point. And actually, you could argue the other way around, where dice is limited because you can't really control the temperature. It's always just going to be at the sublimation point of dice or whatever, minus 75, give or take. And if you need it to be warmer than that, for example, you have to use LN2 or a single stage, because how are you going to, there's no real like reliable way of making dice warmer than that, and there's certainly no way of making it colder. Whereas LN2, you can use LN2 to cool, I would say minus 15 to minus 193. With temperature control, you can keep your system, your component, at any temperature point in that range. Whereas dice, you can't do Single stage, I mean, you could turn on and off the single stage, or you can add a spacer to make it warmer, but you can't make it colder. Cascade, similar deal. So yeah, I mean, it can be a bit annoying to have to pour and look at a temperature gauge a lot and stuff, but at least you have temperature control available, which you don't really with dice. Okay, so CPU up seems to have given us more on the GPU side as well. Let's just compare. Yeah, so Proxicon pretty much flat, a tiny bit higher. Firefly flatter, a tiny bit higher. Canyon's lower. Deep Freeze lower. That's just within fluctuation, but obviously, okay, so it just gave us CPU tests better. Okay, fair enough. I might make this my first actually saved score. So we need the higher resolution. And I put Afterburner in there, and I'll put GPU-Z in there, obviously. So much space for all these windows suddenly with the resolution tuned up. Ooh, baby. Okay. I think that's good. So that was 10178. Next step will be in OS BCLK control, just to fine tune everything a bit. Thanks for dropping by. Off to the races, whatever that may be. Enjoy your day. Okay, so let's go back into our USB stick. Easy tune. Just desktop will do fine. Maybe later today. Yeah, I'll go for another hour. Easy tune 6. Let's do it. Yeah, and that will give us some things and not others. As is usually the case on these older platforms. It'll give us some things and not others. What the hell? I don't really understand what's going on, but let's just try again. It is started. Okay. Let's just give it a fresh reboot. Edit a bias for what platform? What I may also need is the motherboard drivers, or chipset rather. Oh, Xeon. X99 Xeon. Let's do it. Come on, Windows. You can do it. I think I remember this being an remove EasyTune. That's news to me. Where's EasyTune? I don't see no EasyTune. Could be conflicting with Fusion Tweaker. Okay. Reslots. Okay. Results. Thankfully, that's not against the Twitch TOS. Okay, what I'll do is I'll do a few Canyons runs. Actually, what I need to do first is rename and then setlod 3. And then I'll do Canyons. No, that didn't apply. Okay. LOD isn't applying either. Just quickly try something else. No. All right. So 10,178 was our final score there. I'm going on to the other OS. 10,178. 10,178. I'm putting it into my little notepad. This is fun, and you know that other FT1 platform has APUs as well. It has an iGPU, so I'll have to do a 3D stream on an E350 CPU. Antitux. Fellow streamer. Well, here's the rig, Antitux. We're benching 3 Marco 6 on FM1 on a 3870K. How you doing? Did you go, I think you're US based, right? Did you go to the bench meet last weekend? I don't know if you're anywhere close to that. Okay, so let's try to replicate everything we had going on. So now we're on a new driver, and just, okay, let's wait for this to update. Okay, that's probably too high. Let's go 700. Just to mess even more with this whole platform. Hey, thanks for the sub. Not only do we have this multiplier weirdness going on, I installed 15.7.1 and it's being displayed in GPU-Z as 16.2.1. So yes, IPUs are fun. Let's see if make sure we're on 0 LOD. We are. Let's just do a comparison run. We had 7.11.7 on XP. We also need to make sure we're on bench res. We are. And why is this icon screwed up? I don't like it. There we go. That's better. And close our easy tune. And time for a full run. Oh, really sorry to hear that, Antitux. 10 subs gifted. Well, thanks for that. Got Tech Tested, our friend Tech Tested, Yee as well, Bilko, Pibble, and called Bretai as well, getting all the gifts. Fat Boy Nuts a Slim, Polaris, Dark Peanuts, Peanut, and Ginger Nuts. It's raining subs. That's terrible. I have to say, I've been really touch wood. I've been really lucky in that sort of scenario. I haven't lost anyone in my family or my friends in a, you know, probably about 10 or 12 years. So hopefully it stays that way for a long time. So GD1, 21 FPS. I don't know if this is fast or not. Different driver, different OS. Let's see. I saw a 6.5K run saved on this OS, and my baseline run on XP was 6.5 as well, so this might score similarly. But yeah, open question. Our comparison run is on XP, but on a 2012 driver, and we're now trying a 2015 driver. But I don't know if anyone has ever run XP, you know, 3D on XP. It can be hard to install the right driver. Not all of them install as cleanly as on 7. So on 7, I'll have the luxury of being able to go back all the way to 2012, maybe 11 even drivers. I don't know when 7 came out, and comparing them. Whereas on XP, I was struggling. Yeah, it definitely hurts, doesn't it? Well, about halfway through GT2. Do it to it. This is a fun bench. Well, I'm comparing against a score from, when is it from? 2012. On a full-sized spinning Rust 3.5-inch drive, so that's always fun. Okay, here come the CPU tests. As the sun goes away here at 3 p.m. local time, you have that CLC. What's closed? What is it? What does it stand for? AIO? I don't know. It was probably a bad idea. Let's compromise like there. All right, CPU test. Let's do it. The fans are spinning. The fans are certainly spinning. Okay, so our end frame was 3290. Let's see. And then up the BCLK bit until we get a crash, or we can't set BCLK anymore, and then I'll lower iGPU multi in case it's IGPU related rather than memory related, and then after that we can try a lot. I love this video here of this sequence where you see that sort of sea monster under the surface and then it just pops out here. It's pretty cool for the time. Tiny tubes. You still using it, that AIO, or have you retired it? There's decent points for this. I should not get distracted. I want to see my end frame. So 3290. Come on, let's do it. Win. I believe in you. Win 7. There's 3000. 3100. Slower. Damn it. Slower. In that test at least. '87 120mm fans. Okay, fair enough. '87. Such a specific number as well. So there's pretty decent points for this. Now, interestingly, there's a lot of iGPU LN2 scores on this platform. So there's Lucky Noob, who's still active these days, with the memory on RAM as well. So we lost 100 points. Damn it. We actually did lose 100 points. It's not the world. What's 100 points is 1%. I feel like I can make that up with just clocking better on XP, but yeah, it's not ideal. Where's our easy tune? And we have a lot as well. A lot might give us 100 points. Let's try for 2 more BCLK. And that should give us also a little bit more on the iGPU. Just make sure, yeah. Okay, I'll be cheeky and I'll try 900 iGPU. Come on, update. Okay, 131. Let's see how it goes. 131 BCLK. That could make all the difference on this severely bottlenecked platform. Oof. Okay, not even close. That's probably memory more than anything. I'll try 130, 129. Yeah, on the quad channel platforms, you often drop memory channels. You have to clean the socket, make sure your mounting pressure is correct, maybe clean the bottom of the CPU, clean your RAM slots, clean the sticks themselves, mess around with stick order. It's just a never-ending process, really. But I find that mounting pressure and clean socket are the first things that I try these days. Did you end up getting it working, or is it still just showing two channels? All right, let's see. Okay, so it was the chip that had that issue, right? That happens. Let's see. That hang. Yeah, I called it. Okay. Let's try the same on one GPU multi lower, and then we'll know if it's GPU or memory. Socket surgery sounds dangerous. This is pretty cool. Cold RAM on FM1 for 3D. Doesn't get more boss than that. 161 BCLK. Holy shit. Okay, so we're gonna go lower on the GPU. Even though, yeah, I think that kind of hang would indicate memory. Let's see. It was hiding all along. Okay, so that's lower our GPU now. Yeah, I have a USB microscope too, and I hardly ever use it. Maybe I need to get my eyesight checked. Okay, so we had a GT1 fail last time I ran 130 BCLK. So let's see. And we haven't adjusted any voltages related to iGPU yet either. So once I find some sort of happy place, maybe I should just run canyons actually. That will separate the men from the boys, as they say, in terms of this overclock. Okay, and I'll watch for end frame as well. I'll let it complete and check for end frame. We're hoping to break 3200 at least. Yeah, locked platforms are interesting. It's all about efficiency then, isn't it? Or in some cases, what BCLK your chip will do, which is basically just a different version of the what multi will your chip do game that we play on the unlocked chips. Here we go, 3100, 3170. It's better, and it passed. Let's go a strap lower. basically, and go 132. Was able to set it at least. Or maybe even 133. I'm being greedy. 5 BCLK, you know S. Oof. Yeah, let's maybe try to boot 130. Indeed, lots of pixels. So this was in, the reason they ran it cold was there was a G-Skill OC cup with iGPU benching in it. That's interesting. TKOC won overall. It was memory clock, which people did on FM1 apparently at the time. It was Aria Bridge 32M. Oh no, he did an AM3 Plus. That's interesting. With okay, that rig pick is a bit weird because it's supposed to be an LN2 RAM. And then FM1, no, Ivy, 6.7 on Ivy, not bad. Okay, back into Easy Tune. I think I don't have to mess around in Afterburner at all. I just set 133. That should raise the clock sufficiently. Okay. Dodgy. Hi, Mikey. How are you doing? We're doing some IGP overclocking here, and it's not necessarily going all that well, to be honest. Okay, so that was 133. Let's do 132. After that, I need to raise CPU North Bridge and maybe keep going on the RAM side of things. I'm not aware of a board called UX on 590 actually. Is that a gigabyte or something? Oh, you mean the Unify X. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Apex always best. Tachyon is getting close these days, but it's just it's hard to compete, you know, with the very big engineering machine that is a Zeus. 132. I'm just gonna double check the reported clocks on iGPU. 792 should be fine. No many pixels this time. OCF. There wasn't an OCF every platform, so I'm trying to think. Tachyon, there was a 590 and a 690. OCF, there was just a 590, and then they used the Aqua for 690, I think. Apex is the only one that's been around every single release. So you had a Z270 Apex, a Z370 Apex, a Z390 Apex, a Z490 and 590 and 690 Apex. And that's the other thing, is you just get that consistency, you know, of always having a good XOC board on launch from Asus, which none of the other manufacturers have been able to keep up with. I mean, MSI has been putting out Unify X's for a while now, but yeah, just doesn't compare, does it? I mean, the result isn't as important as the fact that it passed. So that passed. So 132 passed. 133 just locked up straight away. We need to raise minor voltages now, which I don't think I can do in here. Just the vid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go plus 150 millivolts CPU North Bridge, and then maybe also 134 BCLK. You don't want to go too high on the CPU clock either. Looks like a post. It's like Kingpin, right? Like, I mean, it's weird. It's like if all the other manufacturers combined, they could probably make a good XOC board. Like, all of them have their strengths and weaknesses. It's like so there's the Kingpin Dark, which tends to come out late, but it's been released every platform, I think, for a long time now. Okay, so that didn't work. Yeah, there's the Dark, the Unify X, and the Tachyon. If between them they could make, I mean, this would never happen, but if between them they could make one decent XOC board, that would help to supply some very, consistent competition for the Apex. Okay, so that didn't help. It just doesn't want to go that high. I loosened the RAM. I might also now go 2T. And then now there's the added part of board binning, right? So previously board binning was a thing, but it wasn't like a big important part of overclocking. But now with DDR5, it seems to be required. I didn't even see the blue screen come up this time. Oh, so 2T helped us. Come on, Win7. And the thing is too that the the Apex is better on air and on extreme. It's not like extreme evens it out or anything. It's just consistently better. I'm gonna be greedy and try for 135. No go. Okay, this might. I mean, I can't loosen the RAM anymore. CPU clocks are still under control. I mean, I could lower the iGPU multi, but I don't think that's going to do anything. I can still push a bit more CPU North Bridge, but this might sort of be the end in terms of raw memory clocks and by extension CPU North Bridge clocks. Let's give it a quick run. Just double check that doesn't do anything. Wasn't Corsair trying to break into the PCB device market? What's a PCB device? Would be my first question. Okay, 134 again. Hey, Matthew. Have I ever benched the Z590 Tachyon? I've benched both Tachyons. 590, 690 is Alder Lake. 590 was 11900K, wasn't it? So, geez, what was it even called? Rocket Lake? I could be wrong. Oh, was that just a stuck? See how the score is at the end. 9 FPS. I don't remember it being that bad. I'm fine. How are you doing, Matthew? I mean, the tachyon boards are solid boards for sure. Frame 32,000. It bugged. It's supposed to be 3,200. It's bugged. It bugged out. Okay. Looks like 34 is never gonna happen, but let's try. Oh, it bugged out hard. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I get the point. Yeah, I'm glad you're here for it. This is a very old platform. Let's go back to what we had before, or some semblance of it at least. X79. Yeah, quad channel is fun. Lots of drop channels and weirdness like that. Yeah, I'm starting to think XP is the way to go here. There's not, it's a bit annoying, but I'm not actually seeing any gains as such from NOS. And I do have multi-control. It is annoying. I might have to use reg edits to get LOD control on XP. But it's starting to look like that 100 points extra that it gave me is quite a lot, everything considered. Let's just double check the GPU clocks. 798 should be safe. Okay, hopefully no bug run this time, and then we can just accept that within reason 133 is kind of what I saw as the max for like 1M as well. So I think this iGPU, sorry, this IMC isn't great. The iGPU might not be that great either, but I think that's sort of the max. I can start upping the iGPU clock again, checking LOD, maybe retightening the RAM since it's not going to go over 133 anyway. I'll up iGPU to what passes this test, then do a full run to make sure that I can really do a full run. I might have to lower CPU for the CPU tests, but I at least want to make sure I can pass GT1 and GT2. Okay, no bugs yet. That's good. I'll stay at these. If I don't get a crash, I'll stay at these memory clocks and timings and find the iGPU max at 133 BCLK. I mean, the score is obviously not great, but nearly 3,100. That's actually not so bad. Reboot on finish. That's not nice. I'll try this since we're gonna be running that low anyway. It might help. Yeah, they're really cheap. Let me. I mean, they're absolutely essential, really. Yes, sell it anymore. It's order by cheapest. Yeah, this is the sort of thing you're looking at. So $3 Australian. Sure, it'd be affordable to all benchers. Sure, our clocks are up. I mean, I didn't bench X79 at release. I only started benching in 2017. But the X79 board I have now is a Black Edition, Rampage 4 Black Edition. It's a good board. But actually, the Rampage 4 on the later bias, the regular Extreme, is pretty similar from what I've heard. That was a bad generation for Gigabyte. They didn't have a champion. They had like a UD7 or something, and everyone complains about how bad it was. But then the X99 Champion is a really good board, and the X299 Champion, which didn't go retail, is a really good board from what I've heard. So yeah, generally quite good for Gigabyte. The Express chipsets, as they call them. So X58, they had the X58 AOC and the UD9. X79 was the off generation. Even worse. I might have to settle for 132. 7117. Yeah, I sold a lot of my AM4 stuff. Um, I used to have a Dark Hero. Now I just have a Crosshair 7. My Crosshair 6 died. I don't know if it's repairable. It's related to USB over voltage over current protection, which usually is repairable, but I don't know. I haven't heard of someone repairing it on that particular board. Still running. All right, hopefully a pass here, and then we can get back to iGPU clocking with the raised CPU North Bridge voltage, which should maybe help iGPU. Let's see. All right, end frame coming up. Okay, so it passed. Not a very good score, but that's expected. So 132 is good. Now let's up our CPU multi or iGPU multi. $864. Let's try it. Come on, let's do it. We can do it. I wanna hit 900 actually. That'll be fun. Let's max that and see if it does anything. Just to flatten up, yeah, exactly. What does everyone think of 10,000 megahertz being achieved in DDR5, by the way? It's kind of fun. A big milestone, let's say. Did anyone watch the Hybrid Reactor stream earlier today? Like, did they score anything big? I saw in the description it was going to be GTX 970 being run with cold 12900 KS, apparently. Why is that? Okay, it was 675 I was trying. Okay, so CPU NB seems to have helped, and I'm already at the max setting for this board and BIOS combo, so that's not great. Let's see what happens here. Maybe just it was an unlucky fail and this is gonna just fail later. Yeah, MSI constantly target the memory frequency world record. It's one of the few things they're good at. Excuse me. Another sneeze. Isn't hay fever great? Okay, we got about to see an end frame and it's gonna be quite good actually, almost 3200, 3225 or so, and it failed at the very end. I'm just gonna accept having to go 1 BCLK lower, I think. Come on, easy tune. $30, 131, and no, wrong thing. Afterburner and GPZ. This is almost 900, but I'm feeling lucky. It's running. Not for long. Okay, I'll do the same multi with one lower. Yeah, it's an old easy tune, isn't it? That's stuck as well. Is the stream is a little bit slower than real time, so I can sort of watch the replay myself on the stream. The way it just like the bow jiggled back and forth. Come on, Windows. I'm ready to hit escape. Here we go. See, I hit it before the dialogue even came up. That's how you know a good venture. Being able to smash delete and escape keys and space keys as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Okay, 850. Now how this will, even if I get a pass that, how this will fare on a full run, not too sure. Come on, no jiggle this time, please. Oh. So you dropped to 8 frames there, but not that crazy fluctuation I saw on the bugged run. Shows 3200. Let's do it. Come on. I'm actually going to do something controversial and lower the V core. Maybe it's a bit too cooking. Let's try that. The other thing I might have to check is if there's some sort of TDP limitation in BIOS that I can disable. That guy's look on his face. He's like, oh shit. My boat is about to be swallowed by some sort of monster type thing. Really doesn't like middle timing to be 10 for with iGPU enabled. Just to show the iGPU submenu. That clock measurement doesn't do anything. It's weird how the little progress bar at the side promises more but doesn't get there. Okay, I'm gonna do a baseline run and then do a run with LOD at like 3 and compare, and then I'll do a full run. I wonder why this OS I've got here is so slow to boot up. Ah, missed the escape. Damn it. $780. Okay, that's a bit low, but okay, I'll have to go a little bit higher. 650, let's say. Okay. So sanity check type. Does anyone remember what the what size of memory was displayed there, because now I've forced it to 1 gig frame buffer, but I reckon it was defaulting to that anyway. Okay, so what's sort of the suggested plot of this GT? Like, why, when they see the monster down there, instead of just trying to go away, like trying to get out of its way, they keep going really, really slowly and fire some cannons at it? I've never noticed that before. I watched this GT hundreds of times. Like, what did I think the cannons will do against that big monster? I would have just put my foot down, you know? Not even try to fight it. And now he speeds off. Let's watch the end frame. 3100, more or less exact. Let's save this as a baseline run. So that was a 38.8, let's say. And now let's go 3 LOD. See, now you see the blurry load screen, which means LOD did apply correctly, unlike on XP earlier. And actually you see how the cliffs are all weird in the background there. You can definitely see it on the guy. How there's less detail. Well, detail is relative because this is from 2006, but you know. But exact same score. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Okay, let's maybe also just run through a few CPU tests. Where's our multi-control? Would be Fusion Tweaker. One FPS. It's struggling. 0 FPS. . Okay, 5.2K as opposed to there's a 718 here. 4.2, okay. Yeah. Alright. I'll take that. So 5.2. I'll try one multi higher. Which is pretty high, but I'll try it. It's this is painful to watch. I have no idea. I have no way of telling if it's faster or slower because it just all looks slow as molasses to me. Okay, I'm gonna do one last full run at 3 LOD at that multi that just passed, and then I think I'm gonna call it quits. Sort of hitting a brick wall here. These slow beat boots are getting to me. I think the key will be working LOD and maybe a slightly newer driver on XP, and then I think my actual score will come from XP. That 1%, it doesn't seem to be clocking as well as on XP either. So yeah, I think it'll be like more like in the region of, once I found the right driver and stuff, it'll be more like 5% difference between XP and 7. I think that's a lot. Okay. So 28x in Fusion Tweaker. That applied. Now I just need to set our GPU clocks, which was 814, so just a little bit higher. And we'll keep the lot on. Just curious to see if there is, ooh, this overdrive built in. I don't think test does anything here, but I'll just turn it off anyway. Final run of the string, guys. Let's make it a good one. I'd be happy if it doesn't dip below 10,000, to be honest. But the improved CTs should help. That's crazy to think that there was a point in time where the fastest iGPU in '06 was FM1. There's good points to be had though. There really is. Vantage. That would be crazy low frames, I think. Maybe that's why people were running it, because it was such a fast GPU at the time. Just coming up to the end of GT2. It's on this board. 1256. Well, that's cold though. Catalyst 11.8 on Windows 7. I mean, 1256 or 711.7 on cold isn't that crazy actually. Three Mac 11. Mackie. 1277. Actually higher iGPU than memory clock. That's funny. That's really funny. Everything seems to top out around that 1250 range. Okay, Canyons is running a seems to be like CPU isn't that important in 11 for some reason, under 4 gigahertz. That Zeus is a good board. Okay, let's watch our last Canyons run for the night, and it's gonna be deep freeze. I feel like I'm in a deep freeze here. It's so cold for Australian standards. What's going to be the end frame? Yeah, that same 3110 I've been getting all, it seems like all night. I was starting to think I should run Cinebench 2003. That would be fun. That's something different. That might be my stream on Tuesday night. Definitely something multi-threaded on Win 7 though. I don't know if I have the patience for Geekbench 3 multi. Any guesses as to what the score will be? I think it'll be like 10,050. Oh, not even. All right. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe, and all that good stuff. And hopefully, I'll see you on Tuesday night or Tuesday morning European hours for the conclusion of FM1 month. This has been interesting experience running iGPU, but I should expect this at this point that iGPUs are challenging. Yeah, but I certainly learned a few things, and I'll run it on XP off stream, and I'll post the sub. So until next time, Thanks for watching.